Well, following on from my retrospective of my retrospective and my chat with Joanthan Lane in December, it was an Axanar fan's perspective. As I've said, that I was intending to do that all along, all last year. Stephen Mayhew, Sean O'Halloran were going to come on the show. They were going to have two separate podcasts, and they were going to be released side by side on Trekzone. And it was up to the viewers to make up their own mind. It didn't quite work out. I joined the hype with Joanthan Lane, called what we had a debate. It is what it is. It sits there now as a record. It's on the record. You know, there it is. But today, a gentleman is back for the third time on Trekzone because he's got something he'd like to say about Axanar, about Alec Peters, about this whole thing. It is Mr. Christian Gossett, the director of Prelude to Axanar. Christian, thanks for coming back to Trekzone.
My pleasure, Matt. Director and co-writer.
Excuse me. I always get that right.
Yes.
Well, half right.
Yes. In fact, I'd like to remind you and everyone that Alec's version of the script, which I really should send in. I should send in the sides that Alec sent me, that I turned into a script. Alec's sides didn't even have the star date in there. I had to remind him that all Star Trek shows have to have someone saying the star date.
But he's a super fan, and he's been watching it since childhood.
He's a super fan. He knows everything. Yeah, well, he doesn't know anything about making movies, that's for sure, as is evidenced by his inability to do so without us.
Now, you were saying something beautiful and eloquent off camera just before we started about the haters. This group of people that has become the haters. That Alec Peters and Axanar are two separate things, and hating Alec Peters is not hating Axanar.
Listen, Alec Peters is the first hater. He is the first hater, and the first victims of his hate was Axanar. The people who made Prelude, the people who made him all that money, the people who gathered all the talent, the people whose credibility brought in the other people of credibility, and who made the movie. We were the first ones to be victims of his hate and his mediocrity, and that's why there has been no credible Axanar since. So yeah, there's this major misconception that there are these detractors. The haters are Alec and Mayhew and those people. They're the ones who are hating. They're the ones who block people. They're the ones who bitterly try to silence any dissent, yourself included. The first time he spoke to you, that hilarious display when you were just asking honest questions, just like Carlos, always asking honest questions. Always people just, hey, look, I've got an honest question. You had $2 million, nothing to show for it. Where'd that money go? Oh, well, it was the studio and it was Christian's idea. Listen, I tried to talk him out of that studio so many times. And the wonderful thing is, the internet. He's in his endless need for self-promotion. When he went on that one blog, I don't know which one it was, one podcast, and he said, the studio is the end game. I mean, he said it in his own words. Thank goodness he did. I wish I had recorded it when he said to me, I need to have something for this money. I can't just make a movie. He said this in his own words. He said, I can't just make a movie and then not have anything to show for it. I have to have a studio so that we can make more stuff after. He said that to me. And one of the times I was telling him, let's make a movie. Let's forget about the studio. But he was adamant about it. He was adamant about having a studio. And he got Rob's. Unfortunately, once Rob and I realized we couldn't talk him out of it, Rob really went in for it. Rob was like, what the hell? Let's build a studio. We'll have a studio. For a while, he got sucked up in the hype and had an office there, had a big, beautiful office there. I never had an office there. I went there a few times and looked the place over. And then, I was really not excited about it because it wasn't zoned for production. And again, I had told him, look, if you're going to go getting back to the studio, and I'm just going on a basically stream of consciousness here because it's all one big ridiculous, mediocre comedy of errors with him.
And I'm just sitting back and listening to it all because it's good. This is what I do. I in December I tried to, as I said, I joined the hype with Joanthan Lane, called it a debate, but what I discovered out of that is that I'm a good listener and I'm a good facilitator of time to people that actually have something to say. And here you are, Christian, and feel free to take up 3 hours just as Joanthan Lane did.
Well, I unfortunately can't take that long, thank you. But, Matt, good for you. Good on you for being someone who can say, you know what, hey, look, fair enough. This is what I did. Good for you to own up to it. Unlike unlike Alec Peters, unlike Joanthan Lane, unlike all those people on the hater side. For me, the haters are Alec and his ilk. They're the ones with the hate. They're they're the ones that block people. They're the ones that, just yell down any dissent whatsoever. So good on you. That's the mark of a healthy human being. That's the mark of someone with nothing to hide. And Alec Peters has a lot to hide. He's constantly trying to hide. He's hiding the fact that the studio was his idea, and he wanted it more than anything. Thankfully, the internet, we have him in his own voice saying that. I would just love to basically play that over and over and over again to his face and just have him deny it. But moving on, an Emmy-winning Union Grip and Electric person, and I've told this story before. It's kind of frustrating. I have to tell it again, but that's the way it works these days. You have to kind of get the message out again and again and again. He said to me, listen, if Alec is set on this studio, which is dumb, we all knew it was completely ludicrous and stupid because he barely knew how to stay out of our way. So becoming all of a sudden a soundstage manager was absolutely ludicrous. And Alec was the only one that didn't know this, which is why, of course, he started getting rid of everybody. Ed Metamorphic, Carter Smith, Jennifer Weberly, myself, Scott Cobb. We all knew that we knew how to make a movie, and he didn't. He wanted a studio. So, but they said, okay, well, we were failing to talk him out of it. And so my friend said to me, listen, don't let Alec sign a lease on anything before I've had a chance to look at it, because we have to make sure it's coded power-wise for production. And of course, I said this to Alec and went in one ear, out the other, because at that point he believed he knew everything and needed to listen to no one. And he signed this lease on this ridiculous place without telling me, without telling anyone. Oh, I signed a lease. It's in Valencia. It's awesome. He just wanted to be in Valencia. That was his big thing. And he wanted to be in Santa Clarita. And so I was like, dude, first of all, I told you not to start this studio. You're an idiot. Second of all, I told you not to sign one because of the power demands. You don't understand. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. I'll just pay for it. That was as far as he was concerned, that was just an endless flow of money. And as far as he was concerned, he was all he needed to keep that money flowing. So whatever went wrong with the studio, he would just do another fundraiser. And so I saw this from the inside. Mayhew, you weren't there. Lane, you weren't there. I was there from day one when he first called me and said, hey, CBS wants to see if I can produce Star Trek. Will you help me? That's the way he introduced the idea, was that CBS was. And that was just something that, again, another lie of his. Another lie of his, constantly saying, oh, CBS wants to see this. CBS is very interested in what I'm doing. CBS wants me to be the next Rick Berman, et cetera, et cetera. And he let us tell this story, again, thanks to the internet, I'm sure that Bill Waters and other people may have video of conventions in which we're telling the story. Oh, so how did this get started? And we answer the question. Oh, well, Alex said CBS is interested in seeing this. Of course, I didn't have a connection. I didn't know who John Van Citters was at the time. One phone call would have saved us all, would have saved Star Trek fandom all of the nightmare that this mediocre, horrible person has brought about.
Well, Christian, you've sort of been lurking in the background there of AXA Monitor and all these other places, not really engaging day to day with this Axanar fight in inverted commas, but Kate Stark's breakdown of the script really intrigued you.
I love what Kate Stark did. Her analysis of the script was phenomenal, incredibly beautifully eloquent. And it's funny, in her breakdown of the script, it was so comforting, actually, because in her breakdown of the script, it just revealed the mediocrity and hypocrisy and the inability of Alec Peters to ever have made this movie in the first place. Once he got rid of that original Prelude crew, there was no hope of making it. Once he became a detractor, became a hater against the very own people who made him that money, all the hopes for the donors was lost. And so to support Alec Peters is the opposite of supporting Axanar. When he became this little corrupt lord with all this cash that our work had gotten him and just hung on to it and wouldn't allow anybody to use it to make the movie. That's what happened. Again, none of his quote unquote supporters were there. They don't know. They've only heard his side of the story. They weren't there every day dealing with it. And I was. So their word means nothing. So I do lurk a little bit. I do love the way that Carlos is able to say, look, you said this and here's the contradiction, and you said this and here's the contradiction, and I've seen Kevin Rubio a few times. I've been wanting to talk to him about it and say, hey man, you were a part of that financial committee. What's the deal, dude? Like what kind of, why are you giving him credibility? It's complete bullshit. glad Rob finally has come around. That was inevitable. It's inevitable because, of the way Alec is and the way that his megalomania or whatever the hell it is that causes someone to want to start something and then destroy it because of their own belief and their own inability. But so I do lurk, but I do try to stay away from it.
One of the reasons that got me to reach out to you was the Alec Peters and Joanthan Lane Axanar Confidential live stream, which happened a few weeks ago. And I took down some notes of what Alec and Joanthan were saying. They got very fired up about these detractors and these haters. As we've debunked that already now. So we're going to find a new term for the AXA Monitor group. They were getting so fired up, and it was really interesting to watch that live stream and watch the live chat going through. And 4 out of 5 comments in every 5 seconds were enough of this. Let's move on. Just get to making the film. So even the people that want to see Axanar uninterested in all of this crap that they're going on about. I did take some notes down, and I really wish that I was still doing video podcasts because people are going to love your face when I say these quotes from these two gentlemen. So let's break it down. So one of the first things he said was, "The only time Alec turns disloyal is when you're disloyal first."
Disloyal. Yeah, hilarious.
Up until that moment, when the lawsuit dropped, people were saying that Alec Peters was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Right.
Those are people that didn't, talking about the Prelude to Axanar crew, those are people that didn't deliver what they said they would deliver.
$2 million. You mean the $2 million?
They took money from the donors and then F the donors.
Wow. Yeah. Just like, well, that's the projection, right? What Goebbels said, right? Or was it Goebbels or was it Goering? One of those Nazis said, blame your adversary of that which you are guilty. They're the ones that screwed the donors. They're the ones that, Alec was in charge of the money. Alec was in charge of the money. All that money was his, my $5,000 for 5 years of work. Yeah, I'll stand by that. I'll stand by $1,000 a year. I'll stand by that for the work I did, the storyboards I did, the recruiting I did, the credibility that I lent the project, bringing on Carter Smith, bringing on Jennifer Weberly, professional producers, working to this day, winning awards. And we delivered so well. No one knew who the hell he was before we came along and made something because he lied to us about what it really was. And you learn a lesson about checking sources, but that's all ridiculous BS.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the 5,000 because the next quote from Alec himself, Christian Gossett had 10 months to rewrite the script, didn't do it. Took $5,000, didn't do anything. Then he quit, and I'm the bad guy.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, the attempts to write the script, what he forgets to say there. He hated all the ideas that we were coming up with. Of course, I wanted to have Soval be a major player in the movie, and he didn't like that. I wanted J.G. Hertzler and Kate Vernon and Tony Todd. I wanted these people to be in the movie. As far as I was concerned, these were the reason why we made that money, was because we had these major stars, and the Trek fandom wanted to see them on camera. They didn't want to see Alec Peters. And in the script that Alec Peters had, the Peters script that I was trying to rewrite was, and I think it was out of 120, he was on 60 of those pages. He was in all the scenes. It was an Alec Peters jerk-off session. It was just he wanted to be Garth of Izar, and to the detriment of the production. And he could not see it. He would not see it. The first AD, Michael Demerit, came on, and he was trying to tell. I did a breakdown. He said, "Look, you're not an actor, and you're basically, this movie is about you. This whole movie is about you in almost every scene, and the stars are not." I wanted to have Orion Okaba on the show. I felt that he had worked really hard. He did a great job as the narrator of Prelude, and I thought, hey, let's put him on camera. We can have him be a Vulcan, and him and Soval will have this really cool espionage subplot. I wanted to make sure that JG was there, and that Kate had a great role, and of course Tony. And it was about them. The responsibility we had to the donors was to give them what we had promised, which was these people on camera doing great things in in the guise of Trek, having a great Trek adventure with these stars that they loved. It wasn't to see Alec Peters be Garth of Izar. So I wanted to minimize his role, but Alec wouldn't have that. So yeah, it was hard to, and at the same time, so imagine this. So you're trying to write a script, right? I was trying to write a script to serve the donors, to make sure that these stars got on camera. And he says for 10 months. First of all, I don't know about his timing. So let's go back, and I remember some timing too, Matt. So in October, we premiered a film at Comic-Con. In October, Amazon gives us the money. Amazon owns Kickstarter. They give us the money in October. November, December, January, February, March. In March, we have a meeting at Alec's apartment, me, Charles Lazarica, and Rob Burnett, the three of us. I get there first, and Alec says to me, "Hey, we gotta do that next Kickstarter. The money's almost gone." And I was like, "What are you talking about? The money's almost gone." That was like $600,000. Yeah. Well, the studio. I was like, well, that's only, 200,000. Where's the other 300,000 plus? Oh, lots of things. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is what makes Alec Peters the first hater of Axanar. The fact that he took that money and he would not subject himself to the same discipline that he was put under by Steph and Weberly and myself and Metamorphic, who made Prelude. We were constantly having him in check. We were constantly saying, look, we need money. This needs to happen. If you want to make Prelude, if you want to make San Diego Comic-Con for the premiere, then we need money for pre-production in this way. We need money allocated here. We need money allocated here. All this stuff, he had no idea. He would write checks, they would bounce. He was a complete obstacle to Prelude. A complete obstacle. And the proof of this is that when he was in charge, when we were gone, Smith, Weberly, myself, Metamorphic, when we were gone, Frank Zanka, when we were gone, nothing's happened since, really. Okay, fine, one Vulcan scene off the momentum of the fact that he was lucky that Milton Santiago decided to shoot with him, and they put together some skeleton crew. By that point, of course, the Oscar-winning makeup team had left already, and we had gone. He had, slapped together a bunch of people that had no idea of the schism that had occurred. And so, but after that, nothing. And, it was like a fire festival, really, right? Everybody, this person of crazy is actually just this mediocre, loud person that plays a good game. But again, like you said, even the people themselves are like, okay, could you shut up? Could you just make something? We believe you. Please stop haranguing us. You don't need to convince us anymore. If you are still so set on speaking about these people and what they did wrong, well, I can look up on the scoreboard and I can see those people made Prelude, and you, since they left you, have made not a damn thing. So could you just maybe shut up and prove them wrong by actually taking action? I was talking to Rob recently, and I thought, God, Rob, you know what? I'm telling you, man, a part of me just wants to like go by the guidelines, raise some money, and just get together the Prelude crew and just do it in like no time at all and just show him up. But we're too busy doing real things just to show everybody's like, look, he was the detractor. You were not the haters. We're not the detractors. It was him this whole time. He took your money. Probably still has some of it.
Well, and that's the other thing as well. Like on that live stream, I was focusing on what he was saying about you, but of course, he was also deriding Rob as well, because Rob's now enemy number one because he's the most recent left.
That's right.
He was also saying the same sort of stuff about Rob and how everyone that's left are the reason that the donors are without their film.
That's right.
And we've got guidelines and how bad's Discovery and
those of us who had zero control of the money. Zero. That was a huge mistake. Actually, it was a huge mistake not making a legal. Looking to the future, looking forward, I would say to those of you out there who are aspiring to make something, who are wisely listening to this stuff as a cautionary tale, make agreements up front. I tell this to my students as well. I teach as well filmmaking, concept design, story development. And I teach them, look, if you're going to get together something, you're going to make an intellectual property, make sure that you have agreements set in place so that you can plan for success. And we did not do that on Prelude. We basically trusted Alec that he would remain sane after that money came in, and he did not. He did not remain sane. He actually believed that he needed no one else, that those of us who actually operated the cameras and put the lights in place and planned the sets and storyboarded the things and did all the creativity and did all the writing and all the casting, he actually completely thought that he did all of that, even though he did none of it. As a rule, he was such an obstruction and so just completely a noob and mediocre in every way. other than, basically hyping himself in the project online. He's basically a social media manager. That's really what he was good at. But he was so bad at everything else, we basically just tried to minimize his presence at all times, which is why we were able to get Prelude made. Because he'd always, whenever he was there, he'd go on some ridiculous rant about the way he thought stuff should be done, and it was always completely wrong. Like building a studio instead of making a movie. I want to get off that train of thought for a minute though, and go back to something you had said before about Rob is bad now. And yeah, when it comes down to it, again, the first person that was disloyal to Axanar, the very first night, the night after the premiere, we had this great premiere. The Kickstarter money was flowing in back at San Diego Comic-Con. And Alec starts the first conversation we're having. It was myself, Alec, Alec's girlfriend at the time, Diana, and Charles Lazarica. It was just the four of us having dinner. And Alec started talking about who he wanted to fire, who he wanted to sack off of Prelude. Oh. That was, ask Diana, ask Charlie. That was the very first conversation that he had. Not, hey, this and this great. Wow, this is going to be fantastic. The first conversation we had, I was sick to my stomach. So yeah, the first person to be disloyal, Joanthan Lane, you were not there. You weren't there at that dinner. When people speak out of place, it's like, I'm not going to tell anyone how to do something. If I'm not there, I'm not going to tell people what I think. It doesn't matter, right? He wasn't there. I was right there at that seafood restaurant. Night after the premiere, should be a big celebration, talking about what we're going to do. The only thing on Alec's mind was who we should fire to make it better. We can make it better. We can make it better. And ironically, the only person that we didn't need was him. That's the only person we didn't need. If not for Alec Peters, we would have made Axanar, and it would have been amazing. He's the hater. He's the one that stopped the movie.
If Alec Peters wasn't there, or if he wasn't such a megalomaniac, do you think that Axanar the movie would have been made? There wouldn't have been this whole kerfuffle with CBS and Paramount.
Yeah.
Maybe the guidelines might have come out, but they might not have been, because fan films were getting to a point where they were getting quite large and were getting well funded. So maybe the guidelines might have come out, but there wouldn't have been a legal kerfuffle. There wouldn't have been a fracturing of the niche of a niche. But Axanar would have been made, and it would have been out there, and we wouldn't still be talking about it 3 years after the lawsuit. Nothing still has happened.
We probably would have still been talking about it, but it would have been in the positive instead of the negative. Because look, here's the scenario. Here's the scenario that didn't happen because of Alec. Let's say that we had been smarter about keeping him in check, about having a checks and balance on the money, instead of having him have complete control, which was the nightmare that made this all happen. If we had control over that and would have been able to keep him in check, and if he would have just stayed reasonable and sane and kept listening to the people that got him that money, then we would have started making the movie in earnest. I had a meeting with Scott Cobb, the production designer, within a week after Comic-Con. Scott was excited. We were all really excited. We were going to make this. And that's the thing that Alec doesn't know, is that in the industry, it is such a miracle when you get to make a movie. It is such a miracle. And he took that for granted. But at any rate, Scott and I didn't. And so we were meeting at this coffee shop down in Burbank, and it was going to be great. And of course, the other conversation, and I tell Alec about this, and what he says is, "Oh, well, I'm going to get rid of Scott Cobb. I want this other guy." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Why are you talking about firing people? Why are you so much for Mr. Loyalty? You want to get rid of the very people he wanted to get rid of Milton Santiago too. He wanted to fire Milton Santiago. He wanted a better DP, as he said. But he wanted to make heads roll after Prelude. That was his response. So at any rate, I was going into the happy parallel universe instead of the mirror universe. So in the happy parallel universe, we keep him in check and we tell him, look, man, we're not going to go to the studio. We know how to make a movie. You don't. We're not going to. We didn't listen to you this time. And it all worked out. We didn't do what you wanted to do. We didn't buy that ridiculous place in Tustin that you wanted to get. We didn't do that. And we're not going to do it again. We're going to actually make the movie. We got everybody here. This movie isn't about you. We're going to make you look good. We're going to, shoot around you, and just like we did on Prelude. And then we're going to give them what they paid to see. We're going to show them Hertzler. We're going to show them Vernon. We're going to show them Todd. We're going to show them Graham. We're going to show them who they paid to see. We are going to put the money into the production the way we know how. And you're going to do what you did, which is you're going to hype it online. You're going to be Mr. Social Media Manager, and you're going to let us make this movie just like we did on Prelude. If that had been the case, and we were going forward and things were happening, at some point, CBS might have approached us, but then Alec wouldn't have been alone. See, here's the problem. If CBS had come after us, and we were still there, myself, Smith, Weberly, Zanka, the people who know how to make stuff, and they had reacted we would have contacted them immediately in a professional manner. We wouldn't have gone online and started talking about in these Napoleonic terms and making ridiculous, delusional metaphors about being George Patton, et cetera, et cetera. We would have said, hey, listen, well, first of all, we wouldn't have made a studio, so there wouldn't have been a problem. See, we would have, CBS would never have come after us because we weren't going to make a studio. We would have said, no, Alec, that's ridiculous. What really showed us that he didn't know what he was doing, and that was a real reason for the exodus. And there was an exodus. Again, Joanthan Lane has, even Mayhew, they buy into this idea that Alec has, that nobody left, everybody left. Everybody left. Ask people who would go back. I know for a fact I've spoken to a few of them, and they're not going back. The people that really matter. When he said, no, I can't just make a movie. I can't just make a movie and have nothing to show for it. I have to have a studio after so I can make more stuff. That mentality right there, and I swear to you on my father's ashes, he said that to my face. And if anybody doubts that, they can just expletive. I know it, and he said it. And again, in support of what I said, his own voice said it in that podcast. When he said that, he proved to us that he's not a movie maker. Anybody that can look at a movie as not having something is not a filmmaker. To make a film is to have something. That he could have said that proved to us that he had no idea what he was doing, and that we had created a monster essentially. And again, he's not a filmmaker. Look what's happened. Nothing. All of his patterns are the same. Give me money for a studio. Give me money for a studio. Help me keep my studio. Help me keep my lights on, and help me hate these people that betrayed me. Right? That's his whole attack. It's like, hey, dude, we're trying to believe, but you don't make nothing. And again, I would love to just make the master stroke and just make something. I mean, we could. It really wouldn't be that hard. We do one little crowdfund, buy the guidelines, get some people together, just as a lark, just as a laugh, like, hey, everybody, take a month off. We're just going to do this thing. We're just do this thing and prove that we did it, and that fool has not a damn thing to say.
And just how easy it is to get done. Not saying that filmmaking is easy, but a fan film is meant to be, friends together and having fun.
Exactly. When you know what you're doing, it's achievable in a time frame that is manageable.
My entire fan film took me 7 hours to shoot and about 14 hours to edit. In fact, I had the rough cut done in my hotel room that night.
Yeah, I want to bring in like Cauley and Tommy Kraft. I want to make it like everybody that Alec has just. I want to give John Van Sitters a cameo. I'd want to bring in everybody that has just, has felt the pain because of the presence of this mediocre, hateful person. I would
happily be on the other end of a comm channel for you.
Thank you. Once and for all, that it really was
that it can be done.
Yeah, that it can be done. That it should have been done, and that it would have been done.
You hit the nail on the head there. That he's focused on this studio. And it's all about the studio. You look at the current Patreon campaign and you go, well, dude, congratulations on getting so much money with so many backers so quickly. That he's really tapping into the anti-discovery crowd, so there's that. But if you actually look at it, it's not about the film. It's about the studio. And he's already admitted in the last week that he's moving around the corner to the smaller studio. So he's just going to be moving around the country, moving into different warehouses, putting new lighting grids up and new green screens and all the rest of it, all the while never making that film. Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Well, fortunately for me, the Prelude I've made it a positive thing. I've shown it to people. It's gotten me work. It's gotten me great work. And the nature of the business is I was working on 2 major features since Prelude. They didn't come out for various reasons, but that's a lot of projects in town. You look on IMDb, go to IMDb and see what's in development and see whatever comes out. And there are people working very, very hard to make that stuff. And a lot of it just, gets it to various levels of production and doesn't come out. So we made it a positive thing. Jennifer has won LA Film Festival with a feature. She's about to get theatrical distribution for her feature, for one of her features. And then there was Eve, It's a fantastic love story. That's awesome. Carter has, constantly working. He worked on, after Prelude, went back to working on Marvel movies and American Horror Story seasons, and worked on Sharp Objects, which was fantastic. So, we're doing stuff. We look back on it with a bit of a laugh, and it's not like he's our first megalomaniac we've known. We've seen lots of people come to this town thinking that they know what it is it needs, and it basically, Hollywood knows how to defend herself from people like that, and so he had to flee off to his broom closet in Georgia, and again continue to talk about what we did and what we didn't do, but when it comes down to it, scoreboard, we still got Prelude, and he has nothing.
Is there a final word that you can give on all of this debacle? Crazy adventure, megalomania.
I'm gonna put this out there. If somebody wants to go out there and challenge us to put this to bed, and when I say put this to bed, what I mean is to settle for all time the fact that there are those who made Prelude and those and Alec, and he didn't. I gotta say, it would be really delicious to be given a chance to prove what we could do. I would get Tobias back. If Tobias would come back, he would be my first call. If Kevin Haney would come back, or somebody that he knew at that level of makeup artistry, I would get him back. I would get Milton back. I would get back. Well, actually, Milton and I have a bit of a conversation first. I'm still a little ticked at him for shooting that Vulcan scene, to be honest. But we'd have a bit of a conversation. We're both New Yorkers, so if we duke it out, it'd be fine. But I would go, man. I'd say let's get together the old crew. Let's do it, and let's take this $50,000 that we've gotten. The donors have been good enough to give us a chance to show them how we did this, and we will do it again. And we'll have this wonderful little piece, and we'll do it fast, and that will be I already have those ideas, all of which Alec rejected, that we could use in this 15 minutes and just put it together. It would be a beautiful little 15 minutes, and we would put it to bed, and it would be glorious. That would be fun. That'd be fun to have that chance, but I don't have the time to start the campaign. That would have to be the donors have to make that happen.
Well, perhaps that could be the Trekzone exclusive that we could take away from this, that I'll start the crowdfunding campaign, and if we can get $50,000, then I'll put it in a trust fund and send it over, or I'll put it on a wire transfer over to Christian Gossett's account.
There you go.
50 grand large. 50 large.
That's right.
Straight into Christian Gossett's account, and
I'll tell you the first thing I'll do, which is what Alec didn't do, is you put it in an escrow. You put it in an escrow account. It's purely for production, and you dole it out to get stuff made that way. Oh man, what we could do! It'd be really cool. Get together the old crew and really get it done.
The only thing is that I would have to maybe make it 52, so I'd have to fly over and just to see all that happen, because that would be absolutely magical.
It would be.
And the funny thing is, we'd still get it done before Alec Peters.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I'd probably want to shoot it at the same place that we shot Prelude too, which was a beautiful stage.
But Christian, you need your own warehouse and turn it into a studio to make a film.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then from the studio, what we'll do is we'll launch more Kickstarters. We'll never do the studio. We'll just raise money all the time and then tell everybody how great we are, and how everybody that doesn't like us are terrible.
Do you know the best part about that studio in Valencia? I'm not sure if you saw this one, but it has become a motorcycle clubhouse or something like that now.
Yes.
So everything's been torn down. I can imagine these bikies walking into that warehouse going,
What was this?
Why is this wall green? What were these people doing?
What was that for?
All right, so $50,000 to buy the studio. Oh, no, sorry, to make the film.
That's the other guy. That's the guy that makes studios. We make movies. He makes studios.
Oh, it's so hard to differentiate the two, really, isn't it?
It was great to talk to you, man. And again, good on you for owning up to what happened with John. I don't know. I haven't watched it, to be honest. To be fair, I couldn't bring myself to listen to that guy. He wasn't there. He speaks with an authority that he has no right to speak with.
I actually paid a company to transcribe all 3 hours for me because I couldn't bear to do it myself. So there is a text record on the website, so you don't have to listen to Joanthan. And of course, you can just press Control F in Firefox and search for whatever term you like and see what he has to say about it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Well, anyway, it's always been great talking to you, man, and it's nice to get back to have another one with you.
Fantastic, Carlos. Well, when I'm in Vegas, man, and LA in August, we've got to hit each other up and got grab a coffee, grab a beer or something like that and really hash it out.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Carlos, thanks. Carlos.
You finally uncovered the truth. I am Iron Man, and I am Carlos Pedraza. Dun, dun, dun.
I was gonna say I was gonna re-edit that, but I actually like the response.
Yeah,
there.
sure. Leave that there. We can shout out to Carlos. What's up, Carlos? Axa Monitor.
Christian, thank you so much for your time, man. All the best.
My pleasure, man. You too. Take care, man.
A new season of Fan Films Done Right kicks off next week. Or if you're in the future, click the card in the top right of the YouTube video now. 4 great fan films will be highlighted, so be sure to catch each new Trekzone conversation on Fridays. Now, I've been having a look at the analytics of the channel, and it's really great to see a whole heap of new people checking out my videos. But please consider subscribing and then click the bell icon to get a notification whenever new episodes are posted. It helps those statistics look a little nicer, but it also grows the Trekzone YouTube community, which allows me to do even more stuff. It just makes it look better. It's good for my ego a little bit, really. You can also find me on social media, Trekzone.org on Twitter, Facebook, and now Instagram. One of the highlights on that channel is every 6 hours I'm releasing another Star Trek episode across this great franchise. And every 6 hours you can click on that link, jump over to Trekzone, and relive the episode, see what I had to say about it, and also catch some screen caps as well. So that's Trekzone.org on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Plus, you can get early access to new episodes of a Trekzone conversation and exclusive early news about the goings-on here at Australia's first Star Trek fan site by becoming a member on Patreon. Those details at patreon.com/Trekzone.org.au. Trekzone is the little website that can, going boldly since 2003.